The Monster Trio. When we look at One Piece and deeper than that, the Straw Hat Pirates, there are three characters that are known as the Monster Trio, the three strongest characters on the crew, the three characters that fight the three strongest enemies. These characters are what we call pretty much the savages on the crew, the most strongest guys, the ones we rely on when it comes to combat. Today I will be discussing many different aspects when talking about these characters and how unique they are and what do they have planned for the future, what Oda has planned. First, let's talk about Sanji. We know Sanji is the cook of the ship. Yes, the guy who feeds everybody on the crew. He pretty much is giving you your feast, your meal, and I gotta say that's really important when it comes to the crew. We know that Sanji learned cooking from Red Leg Zeph, the man who pretty much raised him as a kid. We also know that Sanji is the brains of the crew. We've seen many situations. The biggest one I can think of is when Sanji opened the gates of justice to help them escape in Eni's lobby. But there's been many more situations where Sanji's his brains, he outwits people, and we've seen this in many different situations that I don't even want to say it. That's the biggest one. I'll give you an example right there. And honestly, he specializes in observation haki. Yes, he specializes in observation haki, so it's kind of fitting for. Now, what is Sanji's goal? Sanji's goal is the all blue. Now, this is kind of crazy because the all blue is something, it's remarkable. All the seas, the north blue, south blue, west blue, the east blue, the Grand Line, this is where all the fishes meet. And this mysterious place, a lot of people think it's a myth, but Red Leg Zeph and him, they both believe in this dream, and that's why Sanji went out to the sea to go find it, the all blue. It's crazy. Now with Sanji, there are a lot of future battles in which I can see Sanji taking place in. Now these future battles, people are going to be thinking, okay, let's hear some of these characters that Sanji will probably be fighting in the future. And me personally, this is who I see Sanji fighting in the future. The first person is, I gotta talk about him, Papa Smoke. That's all I'm gonna say. For you anime only, I don't want to spoil you, so Papa Smoke, that's it. Papa Smoke, that's one of the characters Sanji has to fight in the future. I also want to say Kizaru. I know people say the opening is just the opening, relax. Honestly, Kizaru is a guy who uses his legs a lot. It makes perfect sense. It's a match made in heaven, and the fact that Kizaru, it just looks amazing, to be honest. The Straw Hat Pirates ever go against the Marines, I would not want Sanji to fight anyone else except if he fights Kizaru, because it's a perfect fight when you're looking at it. Now, I also want to say a fight that people do not agree with. People say I'm crazy. They call me an idiot for saying this fight. I'm talking about Luffy on Blackbeard's crew. Yes, Luffy on Blackbeard's crew. I feel like Sanji will fight him. There's a lot of different similarities. A lot of similarities I can talk about, but it's gonna be too long for this video. But Luffy is definitely someone I can see fighting. I can see an aerial battle because we know Luffy has wings, so it'll be an epic battle if he fights Luffy. I also want to say the blonde Gorosei. Now, a lot of people had the theory of blonde Gorosei being Sanji's father. It's pretty much been debunked now, but honestly, I could see if the Straw Hat Pirates go against the Gorosei, that's gonna be Sanji's opponent. Now, we do not know how strong this guy is, if he's the strongest, if he's the weakest. If this happens, he has to be not the strongest, because we know Luffy has to fight the strongest, and then Zoro second strongest and Sanji third strongest. That's how the fight structure usually is when it comes to One Piece. And lastly, I want to add something really simple. A lot of people say I'm a little crazy for this, but I see like Ben Beckman. Yes, Ben Beckman, the right-hand man on Shanks' crew. I see him training Sanji in the future. Now this sounds a little crazy, I know it sounds weird, hear me out. We know Ben Beckman, there's a lot of similarities that shows with Sanji and Ben Beckman. First of all, Sanji's smart, Ben Beckman's smart. Second of all, I want to talk about Ben Beckman smoking, man. This guy's smoking a cigarette. Yo, Sanji smoked a cigarette. Now that's kind of crazy. People say, yo, this is little stuff, man. You're taking this too serious, Mac. But I want to say, if the Shanks and the Red Hair Pirates ever fight the Straw Hat Pirates, Luffy versus Shanks, I see Ben Beckman versus Sanji, you know, so it'll be crazy. Now let's talk about Zoro. Yeah, Zoro, the swordsman of the crew, the man who has three sword style. And I gotta say, like, he doesn't have, like, on the ship, he doesn't have a job in which it's life or death. What Zoro has is pretty much, it's kind of like with Luffy. Luffy's the captain of the crew. You could say it's a little debatable that he's the vice captain, because a lot of moments where Zoro keeps everyone in check when they're panicking, when they're stressing. So I could say that, but you can also say that for Sanji, he has moments like that. But honestly, Zoro, he doesn't have a strict job on the crew, so we'll just put him in right-hand man. He's the first mate pretty much. Now when it comes to Zoro pretty much his specialty, you could say it's his strength. Yeah, his strength. We see in the ship when Zoro's training, he's lifting weights, he's trying to get stronger and stronger and stronger. We've seen this since he's a kid. He's always been trying to get stronger. So we can say his specialty is his strength. We know his specialty when it comes to haki is arm and haki. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Zoro and his strengths. Now Zoro's goal is something different from the All Blue. Zoro's goal is to become the greatest swordsman in the world. Now, It's kind of similar to Luffy, in which he's trying to become something. Luffy's trying to become Pirate King. He's trying to get the greatest swordsman, and Sanji trying to find the all blue. But that's what kind of interesting with Luffy. I'm gonna talk about Luffy later. But Zoro, he wants to become the greatest swordsman. Right now, we know who is the greatest swordsman. It's not. See, that's the difference in Luffy. Luffy, there's no Pirate King right now. Zoro, there's actually a greatest swordsman right now, in which he has to surpass, defeat, and that man is Mihawk. Yes, Mihawk. You know it's crazy too, because Mihawk is the one who trained Zoro. But Zoro's goal, becoming the strongest swordsman, I want to see how he gets there, because it's really interesting to think if you think about it. Now, some future fights I see Zoro having. First thing I want to talk about is the Shogun of Wano. There's many hints that Zoro will go at it with the Shogun of Wano. Now, a lot of times shoguns are mysterious. Some shoguns are strong when it comes to other animes and mangas. Some shoguns are weak. Some shoguns are medium. I think the shogun is strong, because we know with him which big bad boy he's chilling with. So I think this shogun is strong. It's gonna be a great fight when it comes to Zoro fighting the Shogun of Wano, the strongest swordsman, the samurai of Wano. It's gonna be interesting because Wano's isolated, so we don't know what kind of capabilities they have. It's definitely strong if we see Kiyomon and many different other samurais we've seen from Wano. I have to say Fujitora. Yes, Fujitora is another character in which I see Zoro fighting. It's kind of like with this Kizaru with Sanji, Fujitora and Zoro. Now, I'm not too sure if it'll go to the death or something like that, because we know that Fujitora is not really a bad guy if you think about it. With Kizaru, he has that bad tendencies. He's kind of doesn't give a crap, but he has that bad tendencies. I see Fujitora and Zoro. It's a crazy fight. It might not even happen, but if it does happen, if like the Marines have the versus Straw Hat Pirates, I feel like Fujitora is the greatest swordsman in the Marines right now, so it'll be a perfect matchup. Looking at another swordsman, I gotta talk about Shiryu of the Rain. Now, this is an interesting fight. I actually have a whole video planned with Shiryu of the Rain and Zoro and these battles, so I'm not gonna say too much when talking about Shiryu of the Rain, but I do want to say this. Shiryu of the Rain, it kind of reminds me of Rise of the Mist, so who knows, Shiryu of the Rain, could it be from Wano? Could there be some story that helps elevate the fight with Zoro and him? Who knows? Next fight I want to talk about is Mihawk. Now, this is a fight that a lot of people are not too sure. Some people say that Mihawk will be killed. Yes, he will be killed by Shiryu of the Rain. I'm not too sure about that. Honestly, I want Mihawk and Zoro to have a fight in the end. It's gonna be crazy. I actually want Mihawk to be Zoro's last battle, because it has to be done. It's amazing. You know the build up it has since the East Blue in the Barty arc when Zoro's crying. The only time we actually see Zoro cry in his adult form. Yeah, we have to see Mihawk versus Zoro. I'm excited for it, and I really want Zoro to surpass Mihawk and become the greatest swordsman. And finally, another fight I want to talk about is the Bald Gorosei. Now, people have been telling me this all the time. The Bald Gorosei is gonna fight Zoro. The Bald Gorosei is gonna fight Zoro. And honestly, I kind of agree with it. You see him always sharpening his sword. It looks interesting. There can be some next level background with that fight that we do not know as of yet. But I see that fight being a great fight, because we need these fights in the future. The strength of Zoro in the future is gonna be elite. Yes, elite. It's gonna be on that Rayleigh level of which you know, because old Rayleigh is crazy strong. So Prime Rayleigh was a monster. Same thing with Zoro. Zoro's gonna be a monster, greatest swordsman. He has to fight the Bald Gorosei, and the Bald Gorosei, we get to see how strong he is. Finally, the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, the leader, Monkey D. Luffy. Now, when you're talking about Monkey D. Luffy, what is he on the crew? We said Sanji was the cook. We said Zoro was the swordsman, aka sometimes you can say vice captain. Luffy's the captain, pretty much. He's the captain. I do not know what to say, to be honest. You guys might know more to say about Luffy, but he's the captain. He's a leader. When times are rough, you count on Luffy. Case in point in Enies lobby. If anybody else is fighting Lucci, they're all dying, yo. But Luffy's the one who always knows. He has that animal instinct. He knows who to fight, and he just wants to protect his Nakama, just like a true leader, a true captain. So that's what Luffy is. Now, like I said, Luffy is a great leader. He has an amazing will. So it's kind of fitting that he is the Conqueror's Haki specialty. Yeah, when Oda talked about in SBS, his specialty was a Conqueror's Haki. Remember I mentioned Sanji's Observation Haki, Zoro Armor Haki. For Luffy, it's Conqueror's Haki. But you know what's kind of crazy thinking about it? When you look at Zoro and Sanji's kind of speedster. He uses his speed, and Zoro uses his power. It's kind of crazy to think about it, but Luffy is kind of more powerful than Zoro, and Luffy is more faster than Sanji. If you actually think about it, looking at what we've seen so far in these stories. So Luffy's all around the greatest. So when people say Sanji, Zoro might be stronger, I'd never ever think about like that. It's always for me Luffy, and then Zoro and Sanji are fighting for it. Now most people say Zoro, and I'm kind of in that circle where I say Zoro is stronger than Sanji, but I feel like they're close. It's like 0.1 decimal, so it's not something that's crazy big. It's just opinion. If you have an opinion, if you say Sanji's stronger than Zoro, I can't really debunk you, because Oda has shown them to be rivals. But let's stop talking about Zoro and Sanji. This is Luffy's moment. Now we know the goal of Luffy is. The goal of Luffy is to become the Pirate King. And you know what's crazy about this goal? what gave me chills back in the day was when Mihawk talked to Luffy and said, "What is your goal?" And Luffy said to become Pirate King. And Mihawk said that's even tougher than becoming the greatest swordsman. So you know the chills of becoming Pirate King. We look at the New World itself. Big Mom, Kaido, Blackbeard, Shanks, all these ferocious pirates as the Yonko. And then we have the worst generation, all these crazy pirates. Like, they all want one thing, is to become Pirate King in some evil, or not evil, but just some way of manner of becoming Pirate King. It's such an obstacle. Finding the road, there's too many things when trying to go to Raftel, trying to find the One Piece and becoming the Pirate King. It's been like over 20 years since the last Pirate King, Goldie Rogers. So this goal is probably the greatest goal, the most difficult goal in the entire series. I know people might say Nico Robin's goal. Pirate King is a difficult goal. Now, when it comes to future fights for Monkey D. Luffy, there's gonna be a lot of characters I can name. So just some characters in the battle, and I'll explain why I see them as having a future fight for Luffy. The first one I'll talk about is Big Mom. The reason why Big Mom, I do not see it having a serious fight with Big Mom, more of a fight of which just to see Luffy and where he's at in power. And honestly, Big Mom, I just don't see Big Mom and him fighting. It's like like a crazy battle. But we know Luffy did say he's gonna kick her ass all over the New World. So we'll just see Big Mom. I feel like Big Mom will kind of like show him like the level of the Yonko. It's something that you're not ready for yet, but Luffy has to become ready for it, because the next opponent I want to talk about is Kaido. Luffy has to defeat Kaido. He has to take him out. So it's crazy because Kaido right now is known as the strongest creature when it comes to people. They think of him as the strongest creature alive. That's what gives you a lot of people that have been debating, is Kaido the strongest character, and many other things. So Kaido is something that Luffy needs to take out, and we saw Law say 30%. After we home, a lot of people are like 30%, like it might be 10%. Kaido is a beast, a monster. But another character I want to talk about that future fight for Luffy is Eustace Kid. Now, people have been shitting on Eustace Kid ever since ever since that moment. But I want to talk about Eustace Kid for a second here. Him and Luffy, the similarities, what they're trying to achieve in different manners. I see Kid and Luffy having, like, out of all the supernovas, let's be honest here, Kid and Luffy is gonna have that dream matchup, which it's gonna be close to the end of the series, in which one of them has to go to the next level and surpass and keep on going on their journey. And I see Kid having a fight like that. Now, moving on to the Marines, and the Marines, I know it's tough to talk about the Marines, but honestly, it's two characters that Luffy could fight. Now, we have the Akainu. We know Akainu killed Ace. Akainu gave him that scar on his chest, so it's a lot of stuff with Akainu. Even when Jinbei mentioned Akainu, Luffy held his chest. But there could be Kobe, yes, a Kobe fight, because we know Luffy said, if you want to get to that level, you have to fight me, you know, you have to stop me. I'm the Pirate King, so you better have to be an admiral. So Luffy versus Kobe is kind of destiny. The first like moments, Alvida, Kobe, that's nostalgic at its finest. So I definitely see Kobe and Luffy having a crazy battle in the end of the story of One Piece. Now let's go into deeper characters, and I want to talk about Shanks. Yes, Shanks is one that people have been debating. Now, a lot of people as fans want to see Shanks versus Luffy. We want to see Luffy surpass Shanks. We want to see Luffy give the straw hat back to Shanks. This is what I want to see, to be honest. But this is where it leads me to the other opponent, Blackbeard. Blackbeard might be he might take out Shanks, because we know Blackbeard and Shanks are gonna fight in the future. It's been pretty much foreshadowed in Marineford. So Blackbeard might take out Shanks and might help develop the Luffy versus Blackbeard fight. Yes, we talk about Luffy versus Blackbeard. That's the biggest fight, honestly, for me. When it comes to pirates versus pirates, that's the biggest fight. Actually, just in the series, I feel like Luffy versus Blackbeard is gonna be the greatest fight in the series. It's a lot of build up. The characters, the personalities of these two characters. Jaya, just remember Jaya and the amazing moments of Jaya. I have to talk about that. And lastly, I want to talk about the Gorosei. Yes, the Gorosei. I feel like the guy with the mustache who told Spondine to kill Professor Clover and kill him. So I honestly feel like that's gonna be Luffy's matchup. But there's many different. We don't know who's gonna fight Luffy when it comes to the Gorosei. Blonde, bald samurai, mustache guy, the scar on his forehead, the guy with the dreadlocks. We do not know who's gonna fight Luffy. But that's pretty much it on this video. Leave your thoughts in the comment section on the Monster Trio. I know this video is a long video, and I apologize. There's gonna be less long videos like this. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Like and share if you enjoyed. Like and share only if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more One Piece videos. I'm the Legend Mac, and I'm gone.